FigureMovements.
Let's go.
Also known as Fabrice or Mr. Fabio, as he used to go by the name.
Whatever you guys want to, Fabulous, Fabrice, Loca, whatever you want to call me, it's good with me, man.
No worries, man. Welcome to SBS Radio.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me,
It's
man.
been a long time coming. We've been trying to get you in, but finally we got you in.
No, definitely, man. I appreciate it a lot, yeah.
No worries. No, so tell us, how did you start musically?
Well, music has always been something that I've had a passion for, you know, especially, you know, growing up with let's say a household full of girls. My older sister, which is Jeanette, she always used to listen to Tupac, Notorious B.I.G. She was into the Fugees, like all the old school hip hop. So I sort of just got my passion from there. And you know, I as soon as I heard Biggie for the first time, I'm just like, you know what, I love music. So that's what inspired me to do what I do. So yeah.
But your career could have been much different, because when you were younger, you were a budding footballer.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, for me, it's like I always put the best into everything that I touch or anything that I want to pursue. I always put the best in. So I think I originally started playing soccer, but at the same time, people don't know that I had that music side to me. So it's only when I started projecting it more, people were like, oh, we didn't know you do music. So I've had a passion for both of them.
Because at one point you went up to France to pursue football and even got a good contract. So how do you transition from an aspiring professional footballer to now a full-time musician?
Well, you know, it wasn't that difficult for me, because I always had the music side to me. So it wasn't that difficult. Even when I was playing professional soccer, I was doing soccer throughout my career. Every time I went home, I used to rap. Like, people didn't know that, like, besides being on the soccer pitch, that inside my own house, in my bedroom, I had a music studio. So it was always something that I had, but behind me, people didn't know. So the transition wasn't that hard, you know.
And this is not very uncommon, because, for example, in the Netherlands national team, Memphis Depay is also another musician slash footballer. We also have Royston Drenthe, who's played for Real Madrid also. Same situation. And in Africa, Asamoah Gyan.
They're
rapper and footballer.
You know, we're African, you know, the musicians inside of us. So it's not going to be that hard. Like, especially with African football, just football in general, you know, like they have a life outside of playing soccer. A lot of them love to dance. So within the African culture, it's very big to be a soccer player, but to also know how to do music. So it wasn't, transition's not hard.
Now, and what sort of influences your music mainly? You've already mentioned Biggie, Tupac, and the rest of them. But are there particular things that sort of touch you or motivate you to sort of write a particular brand of music?
Yeah, look, it's more like when I'm putting the project together. So if I'm releasing an album or whatever, there's always going to be things that inspire me to do it. So you know, I love to build a project with stuff that is more serious. So the content has to be a bit more serious, things that I feel about Australian hip hop and things that I feel about the music scene, and I love to put that inside my music. So it's just, so to cut a long story short, when I'm building my project, you know, it depends on the beats that I get. If it's a club beat or I feel like it's going to shake the club, I will make that record at that time. Or if I feel like, you know, the record, if one of my producers plays a track for me and it's more touchy, at that period of time, I will know what to put on there according to the instrumental. So I work like that in terms of music.
And you write your own lyrics?
I write my own lyrics, I write my own choruses, everything that you'll ever hear from my tracks, unless it's my boy Too Deep, shout out to Too Deep, but unless it's anything that me and him work together, you know, that's when it's both of us. But apart from that, all my content is me 100%.
Now, so take us through the process of writing a song. One of your many hits that you've written. How do you start, and at what point do you decide, okay, what I've got is enough and sufficient?
Like, a lot of people write music differently. Like, for me, even before I hear a beat, sometimes when I'm in the shower or I'm just walking down the street, or I could be doing anything, I could be playing football. Yeah. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. Like, every time I feel like, oh, you know what, I always have rhythms in my head, and I always come up with choruses, I come up with hooks. So it's like every time I get an idea of a song, what I'll do is I'll straight away take out my phone, and then I'll just record the chorus in there, and I record my ideas in there. So for me, it's like I start off with basically coming up with what I feel at the time. I could be walking, like I said, and then after that I'll put it onto a beat. And then that's how I write music, or vice versa. If I'm in the studio and I'm playing music and it's bumping loud, that, you know, it comes to me in different ways. So yeah.
And what sort of support have you got from the family end in terms of your music career?
Yeah, they love what I do. I mean, I have a very supportive family. Like, no matter what I've done in my career, they've always been there for me. So, you know, like in terms of music now, and obviously I was playing soccer at the beginning, and now doing music, they support anything I do, because they know I put my full into it. So.
How would you categorize Australian music, or rather the Australian hip-hop scene at the moment? Because now we sort of got an ambassador in Iggy Azalea, who's doing great things internationally. But for the men, it's sort of lagging behind. At some point there were young men who were doing some great stuff, but suddenly we're not hearing of them anymore.
Look. First of all, before I even answer that question, I want to give a big shout out to Iggy, because I used to, you know, I didn't know 100%, but we were sort of affiliated before, and she told me at one stage she's going to America, and you know, American hip hop scene, or just music scene in general, is the biggest in the world. So, you know, for someone to go into that and achieve what she's achieved, man, like, I give 100% respect to her. But in terms of Australian hip hop, look, I look at it as in like, they have Australian hip hop, which, you know, you got the Hilltop Hoods, you got the, you know, all the 360s and all those people. You know, I feel hip hop is just, you know, it's what you make of it. I don't think there should be a category as in Australian hip hop, because I know so many people that do music, that do hip hop, that don't classify themselves to be, you know, in that Australian hip hop genre. So I think we need to start looking outside of that, because I mean, there's so much talent in Australia, and not everyone's going to be an Australian hip hop artist, because they have a special type of let's say style that they like to put onto their music. And I think as soon as people hear of Australian hip hop, that's where they feel that everyone should be put into that category. But there's so many people that do different type of hip hop, and you know, at the end of the day, we're all going to be influenced by America. So you know, a lot of people walk around saying that, you know, American hip hop, you know, American hip people are trying to be American, people are trying to be this, people are no. I mean, at the end of the day, it just comes down to your type of music and what you create, and you know.
Right. Speaking of Iggy and her move to the US, you'll be opening for T.I. and DMX, and as we know, T.I. is the manager of Iggy Azalea. So would there be a possible move from your end to sort of get in the T.I. camp, or what's the story?
I tell you the truth, if that move was to come straight away without a heartbeat, I'll be gone. Like that's just you know, I think that'll be jackpot. But you know, T.I. is T.I., DMX, they're legends, so you know, they're gonna come do what they do, and you know, hopefully if something happens, it happens. You know?
There you go. Now, as an African Australian, and also as Congolese, mainly we don't associate Congolese young men with hip hop and the like. Yeah. And so, how do you sort of reconcile the fact that you're moving away from the traditional Congolese music into now this westernized version of things? Well,
look, you know, it wasn't that hard, because I came here when I was very young, you know, like, you know, when you have a relationship, you know, I came here when I was very young, so, you know, I grew up with my parents listening to all that African music and blah, 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 but at the end of the day, hip-hop was always there, so it's not that hard for me, you know, so, you know, to make not even Australian hip-hop, but to make hip-hop in general was always, you know, a part of me, so I still love. I would love to collaborate with a lot of Congolese artists. I think that would be a dream.
Speaking of Congolese artists, what would you say of Fally Ipupa, who is currently the biggest and the hottest product with Congolese music, and his music is much more sort of a morph between the traditional Congolese soukous and the rest into more hip hopish R&B-ish.
His style is different.
Would there be like sort of a prospect of you sort of doing something with him?
I would love. As I'm on this microphone right now, I've tried to get in contact with him. I've exhausted my contacts in order for us to be able to make a track together, because I would love to travel to Congo. I mean, it's definitely within my scope, like within the next year. I definitely want to be able to go out there and see what they offer, because, you know, it's I would love to represent for my country too, but also make let's say an Australian and, you know, Congolese transition and make a song. I think that would be good. Right. But Fally Ipupa's killing it right now. He's doing very well, yeah.
And so would there be like a move towards France where there's a lot of Afro, sort of music and Afrocentric music concentration there?
Yeah, I was in Marseille. I was living in Marseille. As you know, I was playing soccer there for a while. I was collaborating with a lot of people there too. So with the French in Australia, they love that. So I mean, for me, it's just wherever the music's gonna work, I'll be there. You know, so we'll start off with probably Congo first, and then from there we'll network our way into France.
Spread the gospel further.
Yeah, exactly. We'll find our way around, man. You know, music is it's a never-ending timeline. So we'll find.
Now you mentioned earlier that it's inevitable that a lot of hip hop in music in Australia will always sort of emulate the American type of hip hop. So how do you find it when you perform in clubs and other venues? How is the music received by the audience?
Look, you know, I've always had people that support my music, and everywhere I go and I perform, I guess it's about the way you perform too. I think that's what it is. It comes with your experience too on how you deliver music. I always like to say, look, no matter what, Australia has to understand that all the hip hop here is going to be influenced by American hip hop or some type of American influence. So until Australia learns to accept that, that's just the way it's always going to be. In terms of the way they receive it, I mean, I feel as though as long as you are confident and you're able to make good music and you go to a club and you rock it, I think they love it. You know, Australia loves hip hop. Yeah. They're just waiting for, if Iggy would have blew up here, I think that would have been very good for Australia.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Do you have to sort of relocate from Australia to sort of make it, or can you make it while still being in Australia?
I always have a conversation with my boy Deep about that. A lot, you know, I would say you can make it here, but you're never going to be as big as what you are unless you go abroad. And the thing is, hip hop in America is very established, where Australia, it's not quite established. So, you know, if you want to make your millions of dollars and you want to drive the Ferraris, you know, you want to live a good life or have that lifestyle, America's going to be the place, you know. So,
and how about the so-called top, you know, hits stations here in Australia, the radio stations? Yeah. Are they much supportive of your music or other Australian rappers?
Look, I'm not gonna lie. I'll be very direct. They don't really support Australian hip hop. Like, I mean, you do have your Triple J's, and you know, Triple J they cater more to Australian hip hop. So you know, the whole Australian hip hop thing is just what sort of is what Australia consider as hip hop. Like, you know, that particular sound. So if you don't really bring that sound, the way they take it is not going to be, you know, they're not going to receive it in a, let's say, you know, in a way where they're going to be quite happy, unless you do that type of sound is what they like.
So you sort of have to conform your music to what they
exactly. So the party, you know, with Triple J and all those other radio stations, you know, they love that. As I mentioned, the Australian hip hop, the party tracks and all that type of music. But the thing is, just to say something quick, the thing is with those type of tracks, they only last for so long. You know, like party records, they only last for so long. So if you're just making that type of music to stay in that scene, how much can people listen to the same type of your music when it's just party records? You know what I mean? So that's what they like, and you know.
And there's a sort of shift from a mainstream hip hop, or rather traditional form of hip hop, into a sort of dancey hip hop version. How, as an artist, what's your view on that?
Look, Look, I'm a massive I support all type of music. I love music. I love the creation of music. Especially even for instance let's go back to the Jay-Z and Linkin Park collaboration or whatever. It's music is whatever you decide to make it. So I feel as though the the collaborations and the different type of music that people are putting together, I love it. I feel that no matter if you keep creating, it's going to live forever. So that's what. So I support it.
Right. So going forward, what's your plan for the next couple of, let's say 5 years, going down the track?
Well, I have so basically I've built my own company for music now. It's called FigureMovements. So as you can see, I'm wearing even the t-shirts now. I'm wearing. So basically, I've always wanted to create more than just music here. I want to establish a platform for music. So in the next, let's say about next year, I wouldn't say 5 years because that's quite a long time, but within the next 1 year, I have my clothing line. I want to create an independent label here. I want to put some artists on, especially a lot of artists that I know. I want to be able to give them an independent deal and be able to work in the music industry. That's my plan within the next 1 year, and within the next 5 years, oh God, I want to be international. I want to be able to go to America, and I want to be able to travel to Congo. I want to be able to make music that can be received anywhere. That's my.
So I guess going by that statement, then there's no prospect of you joining up with Sony or other companies.
Look, I would never say that I would never work with Sony because Sony. I mean, you would be dumb to say, oh, I'm not going to work with Sony. I would love to work with those major labels, but as long as the business is right and I can do the type of music I love to do, I will do it. Because work, especially establishing yourself with those type of labels, they like to confine you sort of like in a little box to be able to do a specific sound. And if that doesn't work for me, I need to be flexible. I need to be able to go and do music that I want to do.
So before we finish, as a fledgling artist, what would be your advice to other young men and women as well who are looking to get into the music industry here in Australia, especially people of colour? What would be your advice to them?
I mean, look, just do your thing and, be confident with what you do. And make sure that you make very good quality music, because I think one thing that killed me before, especially one thing that killed me before is the quality of music. When you go into a studio, don't be afraid to spend your $200, $300, go into a professional studio, be able to produce very good quality sound and very good quality music. I think that's what is received, let's say, better, as opposed to going on there and just making music that's quite, people won't receive bad quality music. So to cut a long story short, just whatever you do, just believe in yourself and continue to continue to do what you love. Look at Iggy, like people like that. You have to be confident and just do your thing. Especially in Australia, there's not that much platforms to do music. So as long as you use the right platforms and showcase your talent, then you'll definitely go somewhere.
Great advice. So before we finish, tell us about the next track, the big one that you're working on, The Chase. What sort of motivated or inspired that track?
Okay, so The Chase is basically, this track means a lot to me, and I want everybody to know that, because this track is basically everything that I've been through in my life. So the music video drops tonight at 7 p.m. on www.lowcutmusic.com. So that's LOWCUTT music. And the track basically is a track that, as I mentioned, it's like a timeline of my life. Everything that I've been doing in terms of music, you're going to see all that, the soccer, and you're going to see all that in the music video. So it's just about the struggle of trying to become bigger than what you can become. And I think that's what inspired me to do this track. So you're going to hear everything about my life in there. You're going to hear about the ups and downs and the struggles that I've gone through. So it's basically my story within a song. And that's why it means so much to me.
Is this entirely you, or did you collaborate with others?
No. So so this track is all me. On the remix I have my boy Wise on there. That was the original track from the actual mixtape, but I wanted to recreate another track because the track meant so much to me. So I just wanted to have my own version and be able to put this out as my single. So 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 I want everybody to definitely look out for it, and you're gonna know everything about me after this track release.
No worries. Well, look, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure and an honor having you in the studio, and looking forward to seeing you get bigger and better and get the international hits and breaks that you deserve.
Definitely, and I appreciate you for reaching out for me. Like, this means a lot to me. I appreciate it a lot for having me in the studio and and letting me.
A pleasure. It's always good to see young African men doing stuff and getting ahead.
Definitely.
So thanks for coming in.
Yeah, definitely. And just before we get into anything, I just want to give a big shout out, like, obviously, to my boy Deep. The whole FigureMovement family, and I also want to say, everyone to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and I got my official website. So Instagram and Facebook is just /lowcut everything, LOWCUTT, and lowcutmusic.com. So yeah, that's where you can find me.
Nice. So we'll get into the track shortly, but this is Mr. Lowcut.
Thank you very much.